It's time to feel what you've been bottling up. Life in rural America isn't easy. The long hours, the constant pressures, the demands of the land, livestock, and family, it all takes a toll. We're tough and we've got grit, but somewhere along the way, toughness started meaning bottling up emotions and powering through. But here's the truth. That strategy, it's not working and it's poisoning us. Maybe you've noticed and maybe you haven't, but the numbers don't lie. We're breaking down and it's showing up in our bodies, our relationships, and in the rising suicide rates in agriculture. You don't have to carry any of it alone. There's another way. If you're ready to stop being weighed down and start moving forward, my one-on-one good movement guidance is now open. Visit the link in the show notes to learn more and see if one-on-one guidance could be for you.
I'll carry you, you carry me, we'll help each other through it. Come on and say good movement draws good movement.
Welcome to Good Movement Draws Good Movement, the podcast where farmers, ranchers, and rural folks can grow relationally through awareness, understanding, and effective communication. Hey, it's T. I'm your host, and I, along with my guests, will be covering topics related to drawing good movement. Things like self and social awareness, brain science, positive psychology, extending grace, and so much more. We'll share tools that can help you understand why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, and how you can use that to step out of self-told lies with grace and compassion to draw good movement in conversations, relationships, and life in rural America. Let's go draw good movement. Welcome back to the Good Movement Draws Good Movement podcast. Guess who's back? Back again. Tom is back.
I'm back again.
Tell a friend. Today, we're going to talk about something that's been on Tom's mind for a few years.
What?
I told you what we were talking about.
You did?
Yeah. Everybody wants a formula, and there's no formula. There's only feel.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'd stand behind most of that.
What do you mean most of it? You've said the whole thing before.
I would stand behind that. That's mostly true.
So what are you talking about when you say that? Because, okay, I agree, but it doesn't matter what you're talking about. We all want a formula, like plug in the variables into your equation and get a solution type of answer. And that's just not the way that most things in life work, unless you're actually dealing with mathematics.
Yeah. Just kind of the shits, because I like that outcome. I mean, I like it. You do A, B, C, and you get X, Y, Z, you know? I like that.
That's algebra. I'm not good at it. Yeah, I get it. I like clean, cut and dry solutions too, but that's just not how it works. But the first time that you were talking about it, the first time that you said that to me was when a few years ago we were getting questions about our grazing, the meadow grazing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants a formula, like how many acres do you give this number of cows? And you said everybody wants a formula, but there's no formula. Like you have to have feel. So what did you mean by that?
So we were down to square footage for a while. So one of the guys on our unit implemented the intense meadow grazing. And the neat thing was he did it on a place that we had been, which in my opinion, where he applied it, the range was junk. It was a swamp. I mean, we'd lost cattle from getting stuck in it. It was just trash. It was terrible feed, poor quality hay. And so when we left there to come to this unit, he moved in there and he started doing the more intense grazing on that meadow, which we'd never even tried and had any luck with. And in 5 years, he'd changed the species of that meadow increase your organic matter. I mean, it smelled like dirt. Like, we're from farm country and it smelled like dirt, not sand, dirt. So through talking to him, kind of starting to apply it here, we were down to square footage, talked a lot about how much cow needed, acres, etc. And we just kind of came up with a place to start and then how much you need to increase that. And he told me that you really need to feel it. Like, if cows aren't happy, you got to do something else. If cows are content when you go out there, you need to be able to tell what your cows want, what they need, etc. So I don't know. It just kind of went from there. But if you get like next level sensitivity, things like that, you can apply that to people too, right?
I mean, you can apply it to the grazing and reading your cows, but you also apply it anytime you're out handling your cows.
Yeah.
Like, there's no formula for moving cattle. I mean, you can kind of know what you might need to do, but for example, if you make straight lines back and forth the back of your herd, they're going to start moving away from you. And that's generally what you need to do. However, you have to be able to read them and get a feel for them. Because, like, the other day, you were doing, air quotes, what you needed to do with the steer calves, and they weren't moving for you.
That's something that's next level right there. Everybody's been through it, I would imagine. But yeah, you got to have feel with everything. You got to have feel with your cows, your horses, your dogs, your coworkers, everything. Like, everything needs to feel felt.
Even yourself. Like, I almost wonder that day that you had a hard time moving the steers, because I came out there. You had the side by side because you were grabbing the solar
and the tubs
and
and the
tubs
fencer
and all the things. And I was horseback.
And my dogs were bringing them.
And yes, your dogs were bringing them. I had my dogs with me. And I got out there and you kind of just washed your hands of this mess, of that mess. And they moved just fine for me. So I almost wondered that day if there was something about your energy that you weren't quite picking up on in yourself that was causing those steers to not move.
I guess I didn't see it that way.
What do you mean?
I got them past where they wouldn't go, and then they kind of freed up and went.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't answer that. But I know I ended up unhooking the solar to go back there and help my dogs, because I really don't like seeing, especially my A and B string dogs, get run over. And I was hot. And that's something I would like to talk to people that have more experience about, like what happened right there. Because I was out in front, coming along just fine. We had, let's see, half of half. The herd split in half.
Mm-hmm.
And we had half of the steers, right? I mean, it wasn't very many. And I mean, they were handing me my butt. And I was not having it. Because that was so there was 3 bunches that I had moved that day. They were the last bunch for me to move. It was late. We had a volleyball game to get to, football game to get to.
I hadn't felt good the day before and wasn't quite 100%, so I didn't get out there very early that morning. So that's what I'm talking about. We had all these things going on, and I wonder if when you went out there, there was something about your energy that you just weren't quite aware of that affected those steers in particular, because they were the last herd you moved that day, and we had all that other crap going on.
I don't know. I felt pretty good at that point because we were almost done. I even Snapchatted about it. Like, we don't always take a horse, and this is why. And I had the generator. I had all that stuff in the picture, like, and here they come. And then it just went to pot.
I don't know. That's just something I was wondering about.
Yeah, I wondered too. There's some people out there that could maybe answer some of those questions. It'd be nice to hear from them.
Maybe we'll have to get some of them on the cast pod.
That'd be good.
But the moral of the story is there's no formula.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And new guys, Typically, when they start here, that's what they want, is they want a formula. And you can give them guidelines to kind of follow to help get them going and to kind of bring them up to speed. But there is no formula. You know, when you're 20 and you want to be a cowboy, that's cool. So, like, you put all your emphasis and effort into that. And then as you mature, you have some wrecks, whatever, your priorities start to change. You have kids, you have a family, and maybe they start to go a different direction. Now you want a ranch. So now rather than being a cowboy and doing all that stuff, you get into stockmanship. Well, past stockmanship, then you get into grazing management. Past grazing management, I don't know because I'm not there.
You haven't leveled up yet?
I haven't leveled up yet. I haven't one up yet. Whatever they call that. Like a video game.
You don't get the princess.
She's in another house. Go away.
If there are no formulas, how do you get the feel?
That's a great question.
I mean, I know what my answer is, but I just want to hear what yours is.
So I'm a math guy. I'm a science guy.
But not Bill Nye.
A research-driven, goal-oriented. So like I set goals, a company sets goals. I personally want to be tip of the sword. So whatever anybody else is doing, that's my next level. That's where I want to be. I want to be ahead of them because I am competitive and it's okay to not be there. But there's a next level to strive for. And if somebody's doing something that decreases their cow costs or increases their conception rate or whatever those things are, I want to know about them and I want to apply them in our setting to make me as optimal as we can be on our unit, on our herds. And I want to help the guys that don't understand that. So how do you feel felt? How do you develop feel? I don't think I can answer that right now. I think it takes a lot of self-awareness, a lot of self-driven motivation. Because, I mean, we could go day to day and work 8 to 5 and get okay numbers and be just fine. But that's not next level.
I might argue that you could be next level without working as many hours.
And maybe that's exactly right. Maybe that's the level that our mentors are at. They don't have to put in the time and they get the same results. So there's guys that are really great at stockmanship. We have several here on the ranch. They do absolutely nothing. It's like watching a guy that's good with a colt. They do nothing and they get everything that you could imagine done.
It only appears like they're not doing anything.
That's what I mean.
Because it's so subtle, because they have feel.
Absolutely. And that's what I want to be. I want to do less and get way more.
Well,
because I'm lazy. I would love to be.
Okay, this is how I think we develop feel. First of all, you got to be self-aware and you got to take on the mentality that whatever you're seeing, whatever behavior you're seeing in your cattle, whatever, I'm not going to go so far as to say that the behavior in people is completely related to what you're doing and what you're communicating to that person, because humans are more complex than cattle. We have more complex emotions, blah, 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 blah. But you have to take some responsibility for your role in what's happening. And with cattle and horses and dogs, anything that's not human, you can just assume that most of what's happening is because of what you're communicating with the cattle. Like there are some exceptions, like those cows that we got that didn't trust us, like something happened to them before that we had no idea about. But we could have been a little bit quicker in recognizing that they were telling us, hey, I don't like that.
I think we recognize it's just the speed of commerce dictates the time allowed.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes that is just an excuse we make. Like the other day when I was moving those steers by myself and the little red mare didn't want to leave the trailer. I was like, well, I got time because you said I didn't need to go move heifers. So I just trotted around the trailer until she wanted to leave. I think sometimes if we did more of that, then we would set ourselves up and it wouldn't take as much time down the road. But what I'm saying, how you develop feel is self-awareness and taking on that mentality that you play a role in every interaction that you're in, whether it's with your animals or humans. And then also observation and reflection, like looking back on a time you moved a set of cattle or a conversation you had with someone else and replaying it, like not to beat yourself up, but to learn from it. Like, oh, I was here and the critter moved this way. I wonder what would happen if I step to the right instead of to the left in that situation. Or I said this, and maybe I should have asked a question instead of making a statement. And I wonder how that conversation. So next time I'm in a similar position, I can use what I've learned and move on. And you get more attuned to what you're seeing and taking in. Like that feel just grows and grows the more that you are self-aware and reflect and observe.
Yeah, some of the best guys we know are very good at observation, and they don't ever talk about it, but they see everything and you don't think they see anything, and it can be frustrating.
Well, like yesterday when we were working those calves, that pasture that we gathered is just stupid hard to gather because it's real choppy and lots of places for calves to hide.
Yep.
So we're just about.
If you don't have good movement, they're not coming.
Yeah. And I mean, even yesterday, I feel like there was good movement when I got out there to help, and we still missed forehead. But we got just about done. And my little red mare, she is very aware. And I try to make it a point to be aware of her awareness, because that's a Warwick Schiller phrase right there, aware of their awareness, because that's what horses need from you. And so her head goes up. Her and I are running the box and loading the alley for the guys giving shots. And her head goes up and her ears are forward. And I immediately look where she's looking because I know she sees something. And it's forehead coming down the hill. Hey guys, we're not done yet.
Oh, so you're the problem. Now we're getting down to the roots.
Well, I wasn't the only one gathering the pasture. But it's a hard pasture.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible. And it's the shipping pasture. Even named it.
Make sure you got the right head count on shipping day.
Oh, it's terrible.
But yeah, that's how I think that we gain feel.
Yeah, that's a really good question. It'd be interesting to know. It'd be awesome to have some feedback, some interaction on this podcast. I'd love to know what people would respond to that.
So you can shoot me a DM or you can email me. Both my Instagram handle and my email address are in the show notes.
I'd love to know what people's thoughts are. Feeling felt or develop feel. Because it works with people too. Some of these things that I want to discuss on the podcast with you, you are so good at, and yet you don't know how you got good at them. I think that's going to be the case for a lot of this. There's a couple of guys in particular I'd really like to ask that question to.
Who also, you can weigh in on Instagram or my email. Who would like to assign this homework to Tom for him to journal about how he got good at the things he's good at?
Well, I ain't good at much. There's a lot of people we know that you wouldn't think have it that have it in spades, that have a ton of it.
It's like the cowboy in the Continental suit.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, they're brash people, just fly off the handle people. But when it comes to cows, critters.
See, that's the thing, though. You just said right there. They have the feel with the animals, the horses or the cattle or both, or the dogs or whatever, but they can't translate it, or they haven't yet translated it to humans. To me, it's the same concepts across the board. If you can do it with cattle, you can do it with humans. And I've seen this develop in you. Like, you've always been really good with cattle and maybe not as good with humans. But you're getting, over the last 3 years or so, your feel with humans is just getting real good.
I wonder if that's how Bud Williams felt. Like, I did get to go to one of Bud's schools before he passed. And like, it was almost like he was just annoyed by your presence around cows.
Because he knew more about cows than you did.
Yeah, it's just like Dale Brisby said, this would go a lot better if everybody knew as much about cows as I did. And we joke about that in the pens, and it is a joke. But I wonder if that's how he felt. And that's why he treated people that way. I don't know. That'd be interesting to know that somehow. But the people that you don't think would be can be absolutely phenomenal at it. We got a guy here that I never thought he had it. And just talking to him after he weaned his calves, talking about his interactions with them and the things he was doing with them and the things he was getting done with them, you almost kind of get emotional because it's like, holy Nikes. I never had a clue you got it. And it changes your perspective on them. So rather than being judgmental, now you're curious, right?
And curiosity is also a way that we develop feel, in my humble opinion.
I do think that the speed of commerce wrecks a lot of it. A lot of things.
Well, that's just conditioning, our societal conditioning. You don't have to let the speed of commerce wreck it.
No, you don't. But how do you do all the things and get all the things done when this is the amount of time you have? You know, I heard a guy the other day said, well, I don't know why you don't take the stress off of those calves. It only takes 10 minutes. I understand that. I do understand that. And I don't disagree with that. But you come out here and you show me how to do that. And then we'll talk. Because there ain't shit happens on this place in 10 minutes. I promise. You take fresh weaned calves, which is what we had at the time.
Yeah, I hear you saying that, but we were doing things like sitting on the back of the cake truck and letting them come up to us.
That's not taking stress off.
How is that not taking stress off them? That's acclimating them to us, walking through them and taking the pressure off like we do and giving a little to them. And when they respond, taking it off. That's teaching them. We're just doing it. We're not like set out to intentionally do that. We're just doing that all the time.
Yeah, but they have to be sensitive too, right? Like they have to be able to tell the difference when you're wanting something of them or you're wanting nothing. It's no different than a guy that's starting a cult. I need you to read my intention, not the other.
Well, I still maintain that we do that every time we're out there interacting with them. And if you need proof, I feel like the way that they sorted when we sorted steers and heifers these last couple of weeks is proof of that.
Yeah, that went pretty damn well.
I can't drop this mic or it'd be really loud, but I would.
Pretty shoddy setups at times, and it went really well.
I mean, the hardest sort we had was yesterday right at the beginning, and that was only because the way that sort alley is set up, the sun was just blaring in their eyes. Like I got off my horse and on their level, and I'm like, no wonder they don't want to walk this way. They can't see where the crap they're going.
That's just because you don't know as much about cows as I do.
Here we go again. Anyway, do you have any final thoughts on feel?
Yeah, we got to give some shout outs.
Oh, who are we shouting out? Cade Yates?
Cade Yates. Cade Yates. The man with the feel. Sorry, Lace.
Cade is an avid listener.
Cade is an avid listener. Huge supporter. He still ain't worth a darn.
All right. Well, if you don't have any other thoughts besides that, then I think we'll wrap it up.
Cade's got a lot of feel. I do know that. Super aware of what's going on. Pretty observant. He still don't know as much about cows as I do.
All right. With that, until next time, draw a good movement. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you. If you found value in this episode, I'd love for you to share with others who might also benefit from tuning in. Share by word of mouth, send it in a text, take a screenshot and post it on social media, or share however you prefer. And if you haven't already, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, draw good movement.